All right, let's add a guest. Just waiting. What's up, y'all? All right, there she.
Hi!
Oh, what's going on?
Oh my God, good morning. I'm so excited.
Good morning, good afternoon,
Yeah, good
West
afternoon for
Coast
you
to East
guys.
Coast.
Yeah.
So, how's everything going?
Oh my God, it's great. It's the first day of the rest of my life because I quit my job yesterday. So this
Congrats.
is the first, like the best live we could be doing today. And I don't know if you saw the video I made for our live, but like I was like, he doesn't even know. You're like the one of the, I think like the first account that I saw that helped me with my awakening journey. I was like, dude, this makes sense.
So,
So thank you.
no prop. So, you followed the old account that got deleted,
Yeah.
which it got deleted when I was exactly at 888,000 people following, which was a trend. Like that number means an abundance of something is coming your way. So it's like you passed the torch, you picked up what was put down and you carried it, and
Yeah,
abundant
dude. Yeah,
fruit.
like I can't believe you had that many. You had 800, wait, 888 or
888,000. And then it just got, I logged on and it was done.
wow, dude. Yeah, I found because that was so long ago, and that was when they were really attacking the community because nobody
Right.
was really talking about it because you were one of the first ones. They were really going after you. And then I was able to find your Instagram, and I was like, oh, thank God I had followed you like right before your account got taken down on Instagram. So I was like, oh, thank God I found his Instagram. So, like, in case anything happens, and then no joke, within like a few days, your account was gone. And so I was like, oh, thank God I'm following him on Instagram. So I kept following you there. And then I saw you started posting again. And so I went and followed your new account. And I'm like, oh, thank God it's still up. I'm so
No,
happy.
they are, and they're after you, as I see. Like it's so crazy. Anything that
Yeah.
involves a form of light, we're just spreading knowledge, and they don't like
Yeah.
that. They don't like
No.
the fact that you're exposing, and this is what I'm talking about. Like we're gonna dive into a lot today. We have a lot to unpack within this next hour, but I know that we are on the same wavelength because looking at your content and you're one that just blew up about time, the Mandela effect. Like I think that's the video where I came across you and it was good to see that wow, we are on the same wavelength. And the note like where you said that you came across my old page and that was the catalyst to starting your journey. And it like with every journey we're still learning. I'm still
Yeah.
learning. It's a
Yeah. Every day I learn something new, and it's so exciting because I was actually talking about this with my sister because I grew up very, very religious. And so I was telling her, I was like, dude, when we were younger, like growing up with this belief system, it was boring. It was like, this is the only thing you can believe in. That's it. And that's it. That's all. And it's like, you have to sacrifice your life on this earth to like live forever in heaven. But then like heaven didn't sound fun either. So then I was like, ew, I don't want to do either of these things. But then I was like, okay, I guess I have to do it. And I like hated it. And then I'm like, now it's an endless amount of possibilities of what could happen. And like, this seems way more fun. I like this reality more.
right. So, and it's crazy you mention religion because I grew up in a very Christian house. Well, my grandmother was Christian and my dad passed down. Like, I'm not going to have you baptized because I want you to make your own decision when you get older. I'm not going to force religion on you. And my encounter with religion, where I started deviating, was when my grandmother took me to a church where there was this woman in a wheelchair, and it was like I call it a cult. I did a video that was on my old account where I was like, that time my grandma took me to a cult where this woman was in a wheelchair. And we're coming in late, so I saw this woman. She's getting into this wheelchair, and I was like, oh,
Oh, hold on. I can't hear you. Can you guys hear him? I lost your sound. Did you get like a, there you go.
there. Are we there now?
Okay, good.
Okay, yeah. So what was going on was there was a woman who was in a wheelchair and she was starting to walk. She was walking before getting into the wheelchair. And as we're getting into the church, she's like, the pastor calls her up and was like, "Oh, this woman came all the way from Maryland to receive this blessing from the Lord." So he like raised his hand and touches her, and like he calls her up to the stage. Let me digress and get back to that. Before he's doing his sermon, then he calls up and is like, "Is there anyone who needs a miracle in the crowd?" And then he calls her up there, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, Grandma, that's the same woman that was just okay. All right, I'm young." My grandma has that look of Jesus where she looks at me and she's just like that don't say
Mhm.
nothing, just obey and listen to
Yeah.
the preacher saying.
Yeah.
So he calls her up. I'm like, Grandma, that's the same woman. And then she was like, shh. And I was like, all right, whatever, all right, cool. So he calls her up and he's like, does this woman want to receive this blessing? Anybody? And then this woman who was in the wheelchair, they wheel her up, and he touches her, and then she gets up from the wheelchair, does a little wobble, and starts walking. Whole church goes crazy, and everyone's catching the Holy Ghost, as I say, the Holy Ghost. Everyone's walking around screaming, and I'm just like, ah, okay. So I told my dad, and my dad was like, yeah, don't ever go to that church again. He told her, don't take your son to that. Don't take your grandson to that cult again. So that was like my first inkling of religion being kind of like phony and for control. And then as I do more research, and I've learned to accept all religions, and I love learning because if you think about it, they're all similar in a way. When you think
Mhm.
what I talked about, where the Book of Enoch isn't it crazy how all these religions mention a form of beings that came down and created giants, and they are in the earth, which we're going to get to, but it's
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
right because it's just crazy how every religion kind of relates in a way. You date back to old Sumerian religion, how they have their own like anti-hero and a hero with their own god, their own devil. It's always an adversary. You look at Greek mythology, Roman mythology, they relate. And we can take this as far as going towards like Norse mythology, how they all talk about beings from the sky, and how what
Mhm.
is it? The Dogon tribe in Africa talks about these being they worship beings from Sirius. So it's just like, gosh, there's so many things to take in, and there's so many answers. Like I personally know, I feel internally like our history has been lied to on how old the Earth really is. And if you
Mhm.
go to Ethiopia, there's a reason that there's a man that guards the Bible, like the Book of Eli. What if you look when you remember if you've seen the Book of Eli, the movie? The whole premise of the movie was him guarding a Bible because the information is in books, and if you can control the masses with books, you can control the world essentially, and that's exactly what
Mhm.
they're doing. And that's why I know for
100%.
a fact our history goes way beyond the quote unquote what we're taught. Like
Oh, of course.
they wouldn't try to suppress this knowledge for a reason. I don't know what particular video got me deleted, my old account deleted, but I was already pissing them off with my thoughts on COVID. Because like two years ago, like being a firefighter EMT, I am in the front lines of COVID, and I was talking about my own experience. I was just like, look, I don't care if it's your choice to get the vaccine, but don't go up there thinking that just because you have the vaccine, you're safe. You're still going to get COVID. And I was flagged and I was banned like multiple times saying, oh, that's false information. You can't even mention me on Instagram now. And that's why I had to get rid of my old account because they are trying so hard to suppress what I've been saying a long time ago that if you literally try to mention me on that old Instagram account, it's going to say he's violated so many violations due to COVID, you can't mention him. And
They
people,
did that to Real Kaya. Do you know who she is?
yeah, yeah.
They did
They-
that to her too because I tried to tag her recently on Instagram and I was like, what? They're like, too many violations against COVID. And I was like, have you been talking about COVID? And she was like, no. So they don't want me tagging her either because she's also
yeah.
spreading information. I'm like, interesting that it's also people of color because like I'll talk about the same thing and I get a whole different reaction than she'll get. And I'm like,
Really?
I'm saying the same thing she's saying. Yeah, I said the same thing she said. Dude, I don't want to get into it, but like she got really fucking dragged through the mud over shit that people just completely misunderstood her message. And I think it's bullshit. I want to do a live with her too because I'm like, you don't deserve this. And this is so dumb. People want hear what they want to hear. They're not hearing what you're trying to tell them. They just
Right.
hear what they want to hear and misinterpret everything. So, anyways, yeah, dude, like they really try to silence everyone that's trying to spread truth and knowledge, and especially with like if you try to talk about anything on Facebook, Instagram, for sure. Which with now with the whole Joe Rogan thing talking about the terms and conditions of TikTok, everyone's like, "Oh my god, did you hear?" And it's like, yeah, the US does that too. Like, what are you guys thinking China wants with our information? China is so much more advanced than us. They don't give a shit about us. Like, we're nothing to them. We really are nothing. Like, we're bottom of the barrel country, guys. Like, come on, wake up. And then you
Yeah.
guys are sitting here being like, "Oh my god, China has your information." I'm like, so does the US. Facebook actually was found selling our information to China. So, like, why are you guys acting like this is news? This has been going on.
Yeah.
So it's
Like,
just like people just hear things and then they just run with it and don't ever use their discernment, don't ever use their own brain that's inside their head. Use it. It pisses me off.
but you think about it, this is years of conditioning where people have been taught to think a certain way and think like, oh, your government has your best interests. Far from the truth. And you can't say that. Like, you can't say, oh, this is the truth about your government. Your government, like I talked about the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, those videos get deleted. I talked about how we were doing natural remedies, how the whole pharmaceutical industry has been like, we look back at the Rockefeller, Carnegie, how they essentially just stimulated this whole industry, making us reliant on petrochemicals because what? That's your oil companies right there benefited. That's
Right.
benefit big pharma. Everybody has their hand in the pot to benefit each other. So when I
Yeah.
talk about this and I said Bill Gates is the next one who's doing, it's history repeating itself. They don't like
Yes.
that. Got me deleted. That's
Everything is history repeating itself. Monkeypox thing that's going on right now, history repeating itself. Everything like COVID was like the Spanish flu. Like, guys, 100 years passed and we didn't learn. We didn't learn. We didn't grow as people. Like everyone wants to stay stuck too. Like I think it's very very strange when I've kind of shifted my content. My content used to be more exposing stuff, which I still do, but I try to twist it into like a positive now. What can we do to change it instead of just complaining, right? And
all
so when
right.
I'm sitting here like being excited because some like yesterday I posted a video about like how pretty the sky was and how close the moon was and the moon was looking at me and all this and I'm like all excited and then people want to come in and are like it's always been like that, like, and then they're just so much like Debbie Downers and I'm like I'm trying to raise the vibes, guys. I'm trying to like post something exciting so that people aren't focused on the negative. And like, why do you want to stay stuck so bad and stagnant? Like, we as humans, we must evolve. I don't understand why people want to stay stagnant or go down or go backwards instead of going up. Like, we have to keep going. Like, what's the issue here?
People, and it's crazy. Like, you think of TikTok, right? What videos usually go viral? These crazy dance. TikTok started because of dance trends going viral, like stupid stuff. Like, I had an account with my kids and that blew up, but then something ticked in me where I was like, I don't want to keep putting my kids' energy out here on this internet. And I kind of went to myself where I was like, I don't really like exposing myself on the internet now. Besides, if it isn't raising awareness to something, I don't need to be part of the trend. Oh, let me post something funny. Like, don't get me wrong, I look back at those videos and laugh at them, and it was great bonding time with them. But it was just like their energy is out there now, and all the stuff with kids and the information. I don't need that. So I kind of shifted my. I had like 3 accounts, so I shifted. I don't even use that account really. I just look at back at it for memories. But I look at like my old account, how it started off on dating, and then it's like when I woke up and I was just like, I'm tired of treating women a certain way. Like, I'm evolving. Like, and I met the woman I'm with now, and it was an evolving, like it was growth. And that's when I started sharing, like, look, we are all one essentially. Like, we just have to realize our own potential. Like, yes, I was
Mm.
complaining, like as you say, complaining in the beginning where I was like, oh yeah, because somebody hit me with a good point. They were like, yeah, you can expose all these conspiracies, but so what? What can you do about it? Like, what's the point of you? Yes, we get it. We get it. The government's doing this, the government's doing that. But so what? What are we doing about it? There's nothing you can do about it. I'm like, well, I made people aware. And now I want to continue to make people change their reality.
Right.
Manifestation is really big with change. I started getting into the more fit like spiritual side of it with manifesting, like teaching people how to do that change. And what you're doing, you're changing your matrix essentially. The whole concept of we have to go to school, go to college, get a degree, get a job, be slave to that degree, be slave to that job, do that for 60 years. That's was conditioning back then. This new way of thinking, like we are going off the grid. Like what you're doing, quit your job. I want to focus and change my matrix and focus on social media. That is shifting the matrix. You're not living the normal standard that everybody is supposed to have this job. Everybody's supposed to get a college degree and live their life a certain way. No, I'm creating my own path where I'm not going to be a slave to this matrix system and I'm going to deviate from this. I'm doing this thing in a way where I'm getting rid of this apartment, rent's way too expensive, and I'm going to live in the woods within the next. That's
You are?
yeah.
That's so exciting.
I'm literally downsizing, getting a license, living in a nice little travel trailer, traveling and just living nomadically. Like
Oh,
I feel
that's
like
so awesome.
that honestly feels like it fits my soul more before I know that social media or whatever, because I want to get in more involved in the quantum healing. And I know
Mhm.
that my purpose, like being in a fire department, like is great. I'm helping people's physical bodies. And but being in a fire department, I've also realized that at the end of the day, I have no control on their outcome. Like
Mhm.
whether you live or you die, I went in thinking, oh, I'm gonna save everybody. I'm gonna have this hero complex. I'm gonna save the world, like save as many people as I can. But then after you see like a few events happen where you're just like, you know what? Some people have it written in their contract where they're just going to die by a tree falling on them, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you're going to do that is going to fix them because that is how, and that's when I started learning about the journey of souls, everyone's soul contract. And that's when I was like, you know what? Some people had it written in their contract that that's how they were going to go out. And not a lot of people understand that concept, but like, that's why, like, I've learned like it's kind of like making me not detached from the fire department, but it's kind of like make me numb to like understanding and accepting the process of death because I know that it's not the end. So it's the fact that I've gotten too comfortable with people like realizing that I have no control over people's outcome. I like to think I
Mhm.
do. Doctors, nurses, we all like to think we have a form of control over the outcome. We are just a part of their story to either assist in that outcome, and that's it. And when you realize
Mhm.
that, that's when it's like time to like, okay, now I realize I want to help people spiritually, not just
Mhm.
physically, because this is a temporary meat suit. Like, and that's
Right.
where like that is my purpose is to help the collective conscious ascend. And that's why we are coming across people like you, similar, who are on that same mission, who are going to create their own destiny, create their own path, deviate from the social norms that society says we have to abide by. Screw everything
Mhm.
we've been learning these years. It's like, and that's where, like, I want to know like your thoughts, like to like segue into something else. Like we said, we are going to dive into flat Earth and the hollow Earth theory. Like, I would love to know your thoughts on this. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. So ever since I was a kid, um, the concept of Earth that we were taught in school with the layers and the cores and everything like never made sense to me. Gravity didn't make sense to me. Like, how's the water staying in place? Like as a kid, I'm thinking like this just doesn't make sense. Like we're like I'm up here and there's people down here and they're not upside down. Like how does this work? Like in my head, it just didn't make sense. Never believed in the moon landing, not for a second. I lived in Florida, so of course I had been to Kennedy Space Center on field trips and I saw everything and I was just like, okay, sure. But then I was like, this just doesn't make sense. But I never also didn't believe in the flat earth because I thought, I don't think we're just like in a flat square either. But then I thought, I just have this feeling inside me that the earth is hollow and there's life in the center of the earth. Like, I just always believe that there's like an underwater world, like, there's life in there somewhere. There's definitely life inside the earth somewhere. But I didn't really know how because I didn't believe that the earth was like a floating rock in space. So then when I came across the whole firmament, because like when I started these videos in April, somebody asked me, do you think, I think they asked something about the earth being flat, and I was like, I don't believe that the earth is flat, but I do believe that the earth is hollow and there's life in the center of the earth. And then that's when I found KCD Industry, which I don't know if you follow him. He's like super flat earther, and he like talks about the firmament, and I had never heard of the firmament. So I was like, oh, what is the firmament? So then I like looked into that, and then now I'm like, okay, this is my theory. I think we live in like a bubble, like a snow globe, and then the earth is essentially flat and round, like in the middle of it. And then there's like life, like we're on one half, and then there's life on the other half, and they're living like underneath us, or maybe we're living under them. Somebody, and then I got he messaged me right after I said my video where I was like about the sinkholes, and he was like, I think your theory might be right, because I think the earth can be flat and hollow because of the giants and all what you were just talking about. The same day I also got another girl who was like, I think you're right, because I think it could be kind of like a CD disc, and like maybe at the North Pole, at the poles, it leads to the center of the earth. So like I really do feel like we're in a bubble in like a big body of water. Like I believe that space is water. I believe that water is like literally everything. When I was under ayahuasca, all I kept hearing was water is everything. Water, water, water. And I was like, and I was so thirsty the entire 3 days. I was like chugging water. And then but then the last day was when like I kept drinking the water, and it was bottled water, and I was getting sick from it. And it was like the medicine was trying to tell me like keep drinking it until you realize they're trying to kill you guys with the water. Because I saw a vision of, it was essentially a big bubble, and it was water overflowing from this bubble, and dead bodies coming out of it. And I just couldn't stop crying, because I was like, why are they trying to kill us with the water? I heard everyone asking me, why are they trying to kill us? And I'm like, I don't know. So I was like, so then oh my god, my experience was insane. Then like the earth, I was inside the barn, and then like the earth was like calling me outside, and I was like, I have to get outside. I thought the walls were closing in on me. I went outside, and like the earth pulled me down. Like I couldn't walk. I was like, literally I had 5 people carrying me. I was like, I have to get to the grass. And then they like get me on the grass, and the earth just like pulled me like face plant, face down, boom. And then I heard the earth asking me like, why are they killing me? And I was like, I don't know. And I just started crying, and I hit the ground, and I was like, they're killing the planet, they're killing us with the food, and they're killing us with the water. Like they're poisoning the water. I yelled it to everyone, and everyone was like, the helpers are like, okay, it's okay, it's okay. And I was like, I have to tell people. I was like so desperate, because like the energy was like telling me like, you need to tell people this. And I'm like, okay. And I didn't know like anything that was going on. And then all of a sudden it's like all this shit's coming out about the water and like all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. So that's sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent, but
No, I'm
I
listening.
think that we do believe. Oh, but here's the thing. Somebody commented on my video and said, okay, so I think of it like a honeycomb, and they said something with like plasma and these holes or something. And I was like, well, the thing is, the first vision that I had under ayahuasca was I saw humanity destroying itself over and over. I went on a loop of an infinite hell 6 times, and it was inside of a honeycomb. So I just saw a honeycomb. I was like in the honeycomb, but I wasn't a part of it. I was looking at it from the outside point of view, and I just saw humanity. I heard every sound that's ever been created in the entire universe. I heard the crying, the screaming of women and children, the anguish, the pain. It was heart wrenching. And all I saw was like everything. I like saw like, the pyramids of Egypt. I saw like Greece. I saw everything that's ever been created, and it was swirling around like a toilet bowl flushing. And I was like so dizzy that in my real body, I was just throwing up for like an hour straight. But then while I was watching it in this other dimension, I was like, dude, this is exhausting. Like, I am so tired. Are you guys not tired? Is this ever going to end? And I would get to the bottom of the loop, and I would just fall like dead weight into my bucket. And then like my higher self would be like, ew, you're in the bucket. Get up. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'd take a deep breath, and then the loop would start again. I went through it 6 times. I was like, is this going to end? And then now I realize like, oh, humanity has destroyed itself 6 times. This is our 7th time doing this. Like now we've got to end this. So that theory now could be true. Like maybe we are living inside of a honeycomb. We are little worker bees. Like everybody has a beehive mindset. Nobody does this thinking on their own. So I do think it's hollow though. Somewhere there's life somewhere else. We're not the only ones here.
Right. Like so me personally, like I look at it like this. You take everything that you ever learned, throw it out the window, because we don't know what is truly real and what is fake. For example,
Right.
we're taught that Earth's at the center of Earth's core is fire. But then we learn that's just a theory. What are theories? Theories can be broken. That now we have ringwoodite, which is water, a water bearing mineral that has been found abundantly underneath the Earth's mantle, discrediting this whole, oh, below this is fire and all fire. No, there's water abundantly available, meaning there's something else abundantly available down there as well too. And then you look at the um, Admiral Byrd diary and how he talks about how he was escorted in, he went beyond the ice wall. And I've had dreams of like going down to Antarctica, and that's why I say dreams are important, because your dreams take you places where it's like I do see luscious green land just abundantly going on for my like as far as the eye can see. Just you go from ice to just tropic, like you know how you go down a mountain, it's ice, and then you go down at the peak, it's hot again, it's warm,
Mhm.
and it's just like a abrupt change. But I don't recall seeing a inside of Earth, but I remember there being land beyond the ice that is warm and tropical. And what's crazy is like his diary talks about how he was escorted into Earth, and there were flugerods that escorted him in. These were the UFOs, and they talked to him how they don't like what's going on in this surface world. And then we got back to the Pentagon, and they completely discredited him and said, yeah, we're not telling anybody this, what you just discovered, you know, because we're taught, oh, this big ball. Now, I can't say whether or not that he was lying, and I can't say whether or not we've been to space, truthfully, because I have watched the Kennedy Space Center launch, and you do notice when they go up, they curve. And you notice most of the kids, when you're a kid, you ask the questions that the adults don't have the answers. You're like, oh, why are they curving? I thought you just go out of space. And we're like, oh, the gravity, the shift, they have to calculate. But it's just like they go up and just instantly hit that curve. So that was like one of those things where I was just like, what are they really doing? Like, yes, I've watched rockets go up, but I haven't watched them like truly ascend. Like, so it's like I can't say I'm a flat earther. I can't say I believe in hollow earth, but and I can't say that space doesn't exist, because I know that stars do control. Like it's like you take all this stuff, and I know, like I'm familiar with astrology and how stars influence us, and I didn't get into astrology until like realizing that, yo, full moon, people are really crazy on a full moon, especially like if you're working the medical field. You just see how crazy people are on the full moon. You're like, oh, or if Jupiter's in retrograde, you see how it influences people's emotions. And if you look
Mhm.
at influenza, like if you look back at before, influence mean to be in, like it was from being influenced from the stars. So sickness, for example, when we get influenza, you know, because we are made of this stardust, this material, like our sickness at the time of that lunar, this cycle of the sky is influencing our sickness. Western medicine groups it as the flu, just one sickness, but it's multiple sicknesses that is happening, not just the flu. Because you ever think about it, they say, oh, there's multiple strains of the flu, not just one strain. Like that's why we can't find a cure for the flu. So the
Mm.
sickness of the time is whatever's influencing us from the stars. So that's why it's just like when it comes to astrology, it's like, I don't know, can the earth be flat? Is there a space? I mean, I've had dreams where I traveled to other distant like planets where like I'm gonna talk about this one dream in a future video, because I was like, yo, there like my soul or some form of my consciousness traveled to this other distant planet where it was like, I don't know if you're into Star Wars, but it was like a planet that was like Tatooine. It was a desert planet, and in the center of it was a hole that led to the sky, but it was a mirror image of itself. And I met this guy who was just like, he's playing music in front of a large crowd, and then he sees me and he's like, you're not supposed to be here. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm your uncle, I'm your brother-in-law, and you're not supposed to meet me here until you've experienced Earth. And I was like, and I woke up and I was like, oh, but knowing what I know about dreams, I know that your dreams are messengers. Your dreams are telling you things that have happened or are going to happen. You're because time, if you think about time as a book, we're taught time in a linear perspective. But if you think of time as a book where it's like it's all stacked on top of each other and
Mhm.
all the stories are happening simultaneously, like what your part of time is just the story you're reading. book in a
Hmm.
linear perspective, but when you fold that book on top of each other, it's like it's unilateral. It's non-linear. So you look at Interstellar, which I remember you said you watched, great movie, right? Like where
Yeah.
they enter the Tesseract, and he talks about how he was able to send the messages in the Tesseract from this fifth dimensional space, kind of showing how time does not function the way we think time does. So, look, space, time, flat Earth, all that. I can't like I know time for example. That's one thing I feel like I'm positive to know that time doesn't exist the way we think it exists. But flat Earth,
I have, oh, I didn't wear it today, but I have my merch that says time is an illusion because
it
I've
is.
always said that. And that's why I have 4 clocks up on my wall and people ask me all the time. I've always been obsessed with watches and clocks since I was a kid. And people are like, why do you have so many clocks? I'm like, I've always wanted a clock wall. And I'm like, and then I did that, not even knowing when I moved here in 2020. I was like, oh, just to remember that time is an illusion, not knowing all this shit was going to happen. It's like, it's crazy when you get to a point where you realize like your higher self really did plan everything.
It
It's
does.
mind blowing. It's mind blowing to think about, like, oh, that's why I did this. That's why I did that. Like, my higher self has been like, that's why everything's happening at once. Like, did you watch the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I have not. I got to check that out. I'll probably add that to
Oh my God.
everything
Amazing
happens at
movie,
once.
bro. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I'll
You
write
haven't
that
heard of
down.
it?
I never
It
heard of
was
it.
huge. Dude, it was just out in theaters a few months ago. I get comments on of every day, like watch everything. I'm like, I watched it the minute it came out. I made a video about it. I hit San Diego before it hit like most theaters everywhere. It's literally about how everything is happening at once, and I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, like she gets into a situation where she's like, what do I do? And then she can like access like other parts of her brain that she didn't even know she could because of other past lives. But it's like really all happening kind of at once. And it was just the best movie. Like I laughed, I cried, there was action. It was the best. It got amazing reviews, like best movie of the year for sure. You have to watch it. I'm sure it's out now. You could
I
probably
hear someone said it's on Netflix, so I'll check it
watch
out in my spare
I
this
don't think it's on
this
Netflix yet.
week. So I'm
It
gonna
was just
definitely
out
watch.
in theaters.
Oh yeah, I'm a def. I remember you made a video about it actually, not that like a few months
Yeah,
or
somebody
summer.
said not Netflix. Somebody said Amazon Prime or Apple TV.
Okay. Do I have? I can
That
get
one's good.
Amazon Prime.
Have you watched A Wrinkle in Time?
I have watched, and there's the
Dude,
book. Like, yeah, that's the. Did you are you talking about the newer one that had? I think Disney made the newer one.
yeah,
Yeah,
I watched that one. I never watched it, and I know it got really bad reviews, but I am like, I watched it. I did Acid like 2 or 3 weeks ago for the first time, and I kept getting, I guess my spirit guides kept talking to me, being like, watch A Wrinkle in Time, watch A Wrinkle in Time. And I never cared to watch because it got bad reviews. And I was like, okay, I have to go home. I was out at the park watching the sunset. And I was like, I have to go home and watch A Wrinkle in Time. And I was watching it with my friend who we did acid together. And dude, it fucking blew my mind because it felt like I was watching my life play out in front of me because everything was very personal to me, and I was just like mind blown that I was crying, I was hyperventilating, I was like, I feel like I just met God. And it's all about the Tesseract, and like, you know, everything just made so much sense for me personally, which I'm going to end up doing a video about it. But I highly recommend that people watch this movie because I feel like it got bad reviews because Christians banned it, and they said, "Oh, it's too complicated for children to understand because it's talking about science and spirituality and blah blah." And I'm like, I knew there was a fucking hidden agenda because Disney doesn't do bad movies. I mean, Disney may do some evil shit, but they do be putting truth in movies,
oh
and you
yeah,
guys
like
just have to pay
oh,
attention to it. Yeah.
like they. I think the truth is always hit. Like that's why they took over Marvel. Like there's a lot of truth in Marvel movies. Like when people talk about Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange is probably one of my favorite heroes in Marvel because I feel like most of his powers we all have the ability to access with our mind. Lucy is another great movie that talks about how powerful your mind truly is. But we all have the ability to interdimensional travel, as I mentioned with dreams. We all have the ability to meditate and access the Akashic records. Like that is something that if you ask any of your psychic mediums, they access these realms. And it's crazy because speaking of the Akashic records, you look at all the great minds like Nikola Tesla, Srinivasa Ramanujan. They would Srinivasa Ramanujan would meditate and he would listen to he would have all these mathematical equations come to him through meditation. This is why if you're about to do a test, you should meditate because you can access these codes or downloads because our brains are like computers. So he would meditate and he was able to find different mathematical equations, just like he was able to find the solution for a what is it, a black hole or whatnot. And NASA wasn't even invented yet, but he knew about black holes prior to NASA even being discovered. So meditation and Akashic records, accessing your mind and tapping into these frequencies, it allows you to accomplish so much. And that's all I've been trying to have people realize, that our minds are probably the most powerful thing. When I said, I did a video where I was like, did you know the army is afraid of people who can meditate? Everybody laughed, but the ones who got it, got it. They understood that is, oh, yeah, the ones who didn't get it were like, oh, I could just shoot somebody. But what if I were to tell you that I foresaw these events before you even came to about this point? What if I were to tell you that I tapped into different solutions that derailed whatever outcome that you think would stop me? And
Well, and
what is
that's how the whole MK Ultra started, was because the military, knowing that people had these powers to remote vision and see things, so then they started recruiting people who could do this, so they could be like, okay, what is this country, whatever military, their military, what are they planning on doing? And then that's how the whole MK Ultra started. And then people want to act as if we don't have the power to heal ourselves. Like, we really can. Like Joe Dispenza literally healed himself. He was told he was never going to be able to walk again, and he heard his vertebrae broke his back and he sat there for like 6 weeks imagining his vertebrae being exactly how it had to be, putting every disc back into place, and now he's completely fine, healed himself just with his mind. We are the medicine. We have everything within us to heal ourselves. If you guys haven't watched Heal on Amazon Prime, it's a documentary, please watch it, because it's all about how to heal your mind. Like, this lady healed her stage 4 cancer, and people were like the doctors were like, oh, we must have just misdiagnosed you. And she was like, no, I just healed myself with my mind. Like, we have the power to do that. And when people are in these like really hard situations, they're like, I just don't know what to do, I've tried everything, and they're scared of the situation they're in. I'm like, have you tried not being scared and not giving it life and literally manifesting it away? I know it's crazy to think about, but you've tried everything you physically can do, so let's try something mental. Let's try meditating on it. Let's try scripting. Let's try envisioning your life without this issue. But don't even think about the issue. Think about what you want your life to be. My life is peaceful, it's joyful, I'm free, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Don't even think about like, this person's not in my life, or I am not being bothered by this. Because I tell people, when you manifest, don't write about the negativity, because your brain still sees that or hears that thing. Just completely act as if it's not even non-existent. And that's how I was able to change my life, because I was a very negative person. And I just got a compliment the other day from my coworker who was like, oh my God, I checked out your TikTok, you're so positive. I'm like, me? Positive? Never in my life have I been called positive. I was always so negative because I saw everything so negative. And now I can flip things around. And when you realize that the challenges and roadblocks that are put in your way are just for you to overcome them, that you yourself put in your way. And I know people have such a hard time with that concept of like, we chose our trauma essentially, but we did. And when you get to the other side of overcoming, you realize how strong you are. Like, literally the only way out is through. And on A Wrinkle in Time, they said the wound is where the light enters. And it's so true, because once you get to the bottom where you think it's over, once you break through and overcome that, you're like, dude, nothing can break me. Like, what else you got for me? Like, what else? Because of course the world is going to try to break you down. It's going to try to destroy you. And the point is to realize how strong you really are. Like, we are so strong, and our mental capacity has been so shortened to like, literally, I made a video where I was like, we literally use like 10% of our brain, and people were like, you don't know what you're talking about, of course, attacking me. And I'm like, you guys can't be that ignorant to believe that we're really using all of our brain. There's so much we're not accessing, and they've calcified our third eye. Like, come on, there's so much more we could be doing. We can control literally everything with our minds, and people just refuse to accept that. And I'm like, you can be a superhero. You just have to realize that you have the power within you. You
Yep.
know, that's what I'm trying to tell people.
But they don't want to listen, and it's not. That's why I would never argue with anyone in the comments, because like I don't give into that negative energy. But Lucy is a great movie that really hits on what you're talking about. Like, while she used her mind, and I don't if you notice how, like, the painting of the hands touching God at the end, it's finally she touches God, because that's when she becomes this. She made the full evolutionary cycle of what consciousness is supposed to happen. Went from this primeval state of an ape till now we are God. She's unlocking the God within her. And that's why, like, when I tell people you can manifest, your mind is very powerful. You can change your outcomes to reality if you think positive. Your mind, if you surround yourself with negative energy, negative energy kills you. Like, and it's weird how TikTok deletes those videos too, where I talked about orgone energy. That's what got me banned off of Facebook, where they're like, oh, this is false information. No, positive energy has been known to have a positive effect on sickness and illnesses. And we are all, when it comes to, like, when you know about the different, like, Western medicine looks at just this one physical body, but we have multiple bodies that we have to take care of. Your mind, your mental, all of these etheric bodies that you have to touch. And when people talk about, oh, crystals, you're just crazy, like thinking about the different crystals. Let me tell you something. When I sleep next to an amethyst crystal, my dreams become vivid. That's why amethyst, I usually wear it all the time, because for me, it's a projector. It helps me tap into different wavelengths that I'm trying to assess, especially when I'm dreaming. And for most people, it can keep them up. But for me, I can dream with amethyst, and it takes me on a journey. And that's why I sleep with a giant amethyst crystal. Like, so people look at it like, oh, like you think about manifesting. Like I said, oh, you can manifest COVID away. We can manifest COVID away. And guess what? When we stopped paying attention to it, what happened? You saw, like, the cases, like, and I'm speaking for myself because I'm on the front lines of this. When we were focused on Ukraine and all that stuff, and it wasn't just COVID, 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 my cases that we were running COVID cases almost every day. When the events in Ukraine started happening, I was on a medic, and I didn't really see any COVID patients. We knew we had a PUI patient, like, and it was just like, yeah, this nothing. That's normal. Like, so what? I'm not afraid of COVID no more. And then
Yeah.
when it's like a boogeyman, when you
Right.
a boogeyman and you don't pay it attention, you're no longer scared of it. It goes away. It dissolves. Like,
Exactly.
it's what was it?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know how to, like, I don't get why they would delete a video. Like I said, the people who know, they know. When you know about how powerful manifestation is, you know that you can overcome any obstacle, whether it be a sickness, whether it be a job, a loss in your life, something. You can manifest your own future. And, like, I'm assuming you're manifesting, you're saying, I'm gonna go on this social media path and it's gonna take me. You feel that. And when you feel
Yeah.
that, it
100%.
happens. And
Yeah.
to be real,
I literally have no idea where I'm going, but I'm like, I feel the universe pushing me in this direction, so I'm gonna do it. When so I haven't been able to access my Akashic records because, like, I still need to get to that level of meditation that I can get there. But I did get an Akashic record reading done, like, literally a week after my video had blown up. But they the person that did it for me didn't know this was going to happen. I had submitted my questions before I blew up. And so what's crazy is my spirit guides were like, hi, yes, we obviously, you worked for this, you put in the work, but we let you blow up as quickly as you're blowing up to show you that you're dreaming too small. Dream bigger. You are a hard worker and a master manifester. You can have anything you want. Dream of the world you want to live in, and you will make it happen. And I was like, so at the time, I was so like, my mind hadn't expanded it to the point that it is now. So I was like so confused. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I don't even know what to dream for because I never thought anything would ever happen. So I was like, what do you mean I can dream for more? What else do I dream for? And then it was just like, I was like, okay, what have I always actually wanted? Like, I don't always want to work at a restaurant. What do I really want? And so then I started being like, okay, sure. At the point, they literally had me go from like 70K to 500K within like a month. And then I was like, sure, I hit 1 million. And then within like 2, 3 months, I hit 1 million. I'm now at 1.1. I'm like, I've been working at this for 2 years and I was constantly getting taken down because of my content exposing the truth about stuff. And all of a sudden it just went like blue. And they were like, you can do this. Keep going. And I was like, oh, okay. So now it's like everything I write down happens. So I'm like, and I like do my vision boards and I just like speak it into existence. And I'm like, listen, they told me to dream bigger. And then I just talk to my spirit guides all the time. You know what else I wanted to tell you? You said that the Western medicine focuses on the body. I watched this TikTok video that was talking about how obviously we have our chakras and like we have been something happened with our DNA and our, through time where they've literally taken the focus off all the chakras except for our root and our sacral. Like that's it. So we're only down here. We're not focusing on anything up here. So we got to get back to focusing on that, especially the heart chakra. And I also wanted to say that I noticed that do you do any breath work?
Yeah,
You
when
know what
you
breath work
meditate,
is?
like I tried.
Okay.
You remember my spot that I go to, and I just try to
Yeah.
breathe and take
I
it
love
all in.
that.
Yeah, I'm about to move from there, so I won't have that spot no more. But like, it's like that's the only thing
Oh.
I'm bitter about. Is like, dang, because
Yeah.
meditation and tapping into the akasha is like I'd say it's like a diet. Not every diet is going to work for everybody. What works for you isn't going to work for me. So for me personally, for me to truthfully tap in, I have to be surrounded by nature, grounded. I have to feel nature because that's what makes it feel original. I have to be away from these structures, these buildings that block your shoes. They block you from receiving Earth's natural energy. These houses that we live in, they block you from receiving. Like I live in this brick apartment, so it's just like blocking everything, and that's why I want to get away from it. But when I'm in nature and I just lit my mind, and we all, because my biggest question is, how do I meditate? And we all do this. Like, have you ever just drove down the street and just blacked out and you just list, like, you just let your mind just like black out and just think and just flow. And then you drive, you're like, oh, how did I get here? Like, because you
Right.
were you were in that trance of state. Now, if you take that concept and you just go somewhere that let your mind just dump itself, like I say, the key to meditation is breathing. You have to breathe and you got to count your breaths, like let it, hold it, and then let that out. So when you do that and you start focusing on your breath, and I like to just let it all out. Like if our mind, especially when we have so much in it, we're bombarded. We're bombarded. Like we get so bombarded, and it's like, I like think of it like a cloud, right? You're at the beach, right? What's your main focus is going in that water, but you see clouds at the beach and they're passing. These clouds are your thoughts, and they just pass every thought. There could be a lot of thoughts just passing, and you just focus on your main goal. You're there at the beach. You're not looking at all the clouds that are there. You're just letting them pass, but you're at the beach,
Mm.
and eventually it becomes sunny and there's no clouds, and you're just in that water and you're deep diving, taking in all that what the earth is giving you in from that water. Like you weren't focused on all the clouds that passed you. You were focused, you came for the beach. You came to access these thoughts, these deeper thoughts that go way beyond the clouds. You didn't let these just take you. So I think breathing, breath work definitely helps a lot of people like get into that transit state where you just hold it and then let it out and then focus on that breath. Like I said I'd get around to doing a YouTube tutorial on meditation, but and breath work and breathing and the different ways. But then I also realized like everybody's way is not going to work for this
Yeah.
person. Some people could just lay in a bed and meditate, while some people have to be in the upright position and then like take it all in. I'm in that position now, like got my like legs crossed and I'm just letting all the information flow, but I'm not doing a breathing with it. But I'm just talking and like just receive, like it's like talking to other people. I feel like sometimes you guys act like other people who are in tune and in line with you. We act as like conductors of energy. We're transferring these thoughts. That's why I said we didn't come with no script. We're just going to talk free
Mm.
off the dome because we are on that same wavelength. Everything that you
Right.
talk about is the same thing that I talk about, whether it be a month from now. I'm pretty sure like when you do a TikTok video, and if you can relate to me, like you could be driving and just like, oh, I gotta talk about this. Like it just literally hits you out of nowhere. And that's what I call the ether downloads, where it's just like, I gotta talk about this. I have to talk about this and I have to get this out right now. Because if I
Mhm.
don't, I don't know, I'm gonna go crazy because you just get bombarded with these thoughts. And I can
Oh,
tell.
that was me in Vegas. I went to Vegas for my first time ever on July 4th. I swear a portal opened up and it was like right before July 5th with CERN. And dude, the amount of downloads, like if you watch my videos while I was in Vegas, that was when the Georgia Guidestones blew up. And the downloads that I was getting, I was like malfunctioning. Like I couldn't get the words out in my videos. I was like, it was like so much information that was coming to me. And so my stories on Instagram, I was posting them on there because I was like, dude, I'm getting information from everything. Like I have to get it out right now. I don't know what to do. So I posted them on, they're in my Instagram highlights under downloads because I was like, I can't keep up with the amount of information I'm getting. And I had asked my followers that. I'm like, are you guys like getting a ton of fucking downloads right now? It was so intense. And that was before I even knew about everything. Obviously, that happened. Obviously, the Hoover Dam happened after. So that's when I started getting into the whole history of the Hoover Dam and then finding out like, I'm like, there's definitely something going on in Vegas that we should be paying attention to. That's why they want to keep you trapped in the strip. And so then I started digging more into Vegas. And somebody commented, was like, why are you so obsessed with Vegas? I'm like, there's obviously something there that we should be looking into. But what I wanted to say about the breath work. So I made a video yesterday about ayahuasca, and some people are like, oh, if we can't do ayahuasca because of like, medication they're on or whatever, do you have any other suggestions? And I said, try breath work. Start with breath work because that's just you, right? I noticed that I wasn't getting not even one single like on my comment about that. And I'm like, don't fucking tell me TikTok is hiding this because of breath work. So of course I have my backup account. So I went on there and I noticed they have the word blocked. They do not let you write breath work. At least not me. I don't know about anybody else. It won't let me write breath work as one word. It won't let me write breath work as two words separate. It won't let me write breath work with a period in between breath and work. The only way it actually showed up was if I wrote breath work with a zero instead of an O on work. That is the only way because they find different ways to ban words and you have to find every little rendition of it. That's the only way I was ever going to write breath work. So I had to write breath work, breath, period, work with a zero. That's the only way that TikTok. I'm like, okay, so obviously TikTok knows what's going on and that breath work is extremely important and will let you reach higher levels of meditation and of self-healing and everything. And they don't want people to know that. I was like, okay, definitely making a video about this now
Well,
if they're trying to hide it.
it's I know you notice like anytime TikTok tries to suppress information, that information is powerful. Just like you can't use the hashtag DMT, you can't use psychedelics.
We lost your sound again. Hold on. Oh, Astro 5D said,
Hold
I've
up.
talked about playing in the background and wanted to add this book, The Hindu Yogi Science of Breath, 1903, Yogi Ramachakra. I did breath work for the first time right before ayahuasca. And I mean, my first night with ayahuasca, I didn't feel anything, but the breath work sent me to like, oh, dude, that shit was amazing. And I tell people all the time, like, go follow the guy that like I did the breath work with because it was, he didn't know anything about breath work until he did ayahuasca. And then the medicine showed him how to guide people to do this breath work to unlock so much trauma that people have been suppressing. And like, everyone that goes to his sessions are just like crying and yelling. It's literally like doing any of these psychedelics, plant medicine, but just with your own breath. It's insane. And so every time I'm like, oh, this is the master. He's like, no, you are the master. You are the medicine. We all are the medicine, And I'm like, okay, got it. Oh, I still can't hear you.
Okay, now you can hear me. So what I was
Okay.
saying, like I'm probably gonna have to head out pretty soon. But when it comes to like these quantum healing sessions, I'll be doing a past life regression session next week, but it incorporates a lot of breath work and it hits on what you just said because it uncovers that trauma from past lives, childhoods, and it's I'm gonna like do a whole I'm not gonna do it live. I'm gonna record some of the sessions because it's gonna be a long session. But breath work is important and TikTok knows this. whenever, like what I was getting ready to say, whenever they try to suppress something, dig deeper into that. It's like a book. Whenever there's a book that's suppressed, that's the book that you need to be looking into. So there are certain hashtags, there are certain things that TikTok suppresses because they don't want the information out there. And shoot, if we get banned because of this live, who knows, you know? Like
Yeah,
they're gatekeepers. They are
they're
gatekeepers. That's exact.
they they banned my live ones for saying that this app hides people of color, and they banned me. I was like, well, for calling you out that you're fucking racist. They also, I've made like 3 videos talking about this documentary on Hulu, the New York Times presents Who Gets to Be an Influencer, talking about how Black influencers do not get the same type of exposure than white influencers. And I've been trying to get the word out to people to watch this documentary so they can understand what this app is doing, and they will hide the video every single time. No views. I'm like, it's so frustrating. I'm like, we see what you're doing. We know what you're doing. You're trying to fucking control the narrative.
With me, like I used to think like, oh, I'd be like kind of like I had a good message and it didn't get out there. And then I had to learn like, you know what? It doesn't matter. Those who will find the message will find it. And guess what? You found the message from one of my videos, and then now you are this big time influencer and you are going to start your journey to continue to spread the message. And honestly, that alone makes me feel good because it feels like my work is almost done because I got someone who's going to carry the torch and spread all the knowledge around the world. That was the seed I'm trying to plant. I don't
Right.
care if I go viral. I need someone that's going to deliver the same message that I wanted to get out there. And you're doing a fantastic job. So this won't be our last live. I know we'll do another live video soon. I
For
enjoyed
sure.
talking to you, but I got to roll out. But
Thank you so
take care.
much.
Keep spreading the positive information. Keep spreading the light. And the universe will always guide us to where we're supposed to go. The messages at the end of the day will always find whoever.
Yes, I'm so excited for you and your move, and I hope you share it with us because I would love to see your journey.
I will. And we'll be keeping up with each other's journey because like you're doing what everybody should be doing. Get off this matrix, screw the 9 to 5, screw the lifestyle that you're told you're supposed to live. Live off the grid. Do you make your
Yeah,
own path. That's
that's
how
right.
the universe flows. Take care.
Yep, exactly. Bye.
Good talk.
All right, guys, I'm gonna stay on here for a little bit because I do want to answer some questions. Somebody asked me who is the breathwork guy. His name is Vitality on Instagram. I don't know how to get rid of his thing. Disconnect.